who has been the publisher of the Ohio Irish News for a number of years now. I think it's 10 or 12 years. But he has taken over ownership. And John, congratulations first on being your competitor of Randolph Hearst.
That's right. We're American publishers. Thanks very much, sir. I appreciate it.
Again, I give you a lot of praise for taking on the publishing industry today, for getting into the print media especially.
That's right.
It's a tough game, but you have kind of a specialized area, don't we, here?
We do. We have a niche in the Irish community, obviously very well known for supporting those that are in the arts as well as any of the media. We have a very unique situation here. When we opened the paper in 2006, the economy hadn't tanked yet. 2008 it did, but we were open and running, and we survived through it, through all the supporters. But the things like the Plain Dealer and that have reduced production actually helped us, because a lot of advertisers who used to advertise at the Plain Dealer came to us, and they know the Irish community is out. They like to spend money on entertainment and go out and do things and be active in the community. Mm-hmm. So that really helped us. And now that with technology, I'm fortunate to be right on that cusp of when technology really kind of bloomed with the internet and grew up with that. So it's comfortable for me, and I can make those adaptations to media, to technology that really help keep the cost way down.
Well, I think, John, that's the secret. You have to blend the technology and the print today to blend them together. I know the Plain Dealer has done that with Cleveland. Is it Cleveland.com? It's called. And you have to do that today, don't you?
You will. You're purposely, if you don't do it, you're setting off a whole bunch of audience. You're saying, I'm not talking to those people, because that's the only way they get their news. Mm-hmm. Fox 8 is the #1 news station in Cleveland, and 70% of that is from their internet. It's not from them watching the TV. They go on the sign, get on their website, and look around. So you have to be able to talk to those people. If your country's language is Spanish and you don't learn Spanish, you're not talking to those people. Mm-hmm. Our language here is technology, and you better be able to speak it.
You cover the whole state of Ohio with the newspaper,
right?
Right?
Correct, and 5 additional states as well.
Anyway?
We're in 5 additional states as well.
Are you?
Yes, so
Which
we're
is
going to be the great Midwest.
Indiana, Pennsylvania too?
Pennsylvania, we're a little bit in New York, we're in Kentucky, we touch on Tennessee. The only state that's touching Ohio that we're not in is West Virginia.
And I thought that was always the big fault of the Irish Voice in New York and the Irish Echo. They only service the tri-state area, which would be New York, Connecticut, and the Boston area also. Whereas your paper probably covers more now.
We do, and we're fortunate. We have the Toledo Irish, so we have a person on the ground in Toledo that reports on that. We have Cincinnati Irish, we have Cleveland Irish. So we are putting people in place. It's not just me watching the internet for something to talk about.
No. Now you do get some volunteers to work with you on this, don't you?
I do, and we're very fortunate to have great support and people who will just send me stories or say, hey, give me heads up about things coming on. You always let me know what's going on with the Mayo Ball and with the good crowd here from Cleveland. There's so many from Mayo, so that I know what's going on and can keep in, can go get some good photographs and tell people about what things are going on. There's a lot of things to celebrate in Cleveland, and we don't do a good job of celebrating it.
Well, I think Cleveland is still probably one of the best Irish cities in America. Chicago would be, of course, the Midwest, but we are in Cleveland. I think, in fact, I was speaking to the consulate the other day, and he said that Cleveland to him was the #2. Chicago, of course, is #1. We all know that. But he says Cleveland is the #2 city in his district.
It's amazing. Every time someone comes over, the ambassador Brian O'Brien comes over, or the bands that are here for the first time, they're always stunned at the Irish community here, how active it is, how supportive it is, and how positive it is.
Yeah, not too many cities have 2 major Irish clubs like we have, the East Side and the West Side, and that comprises about 7,000 members between the 2 clubs. Plus then we have the Hibernians, and we have, I think, about 28 other clubs.
That's right. That's right. The United Irish Societies is more than 30 clubs. You're right.
That's right.
And for them to be landed clubs, not just somebody that meets in a local pub, but to have a facility and have educational programming going on all the time, both the East Side and the West Side, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Where do you get your writers from, or do they just call you up and say, look, I'd like to write an article for the paper?
That's how in the later times, that's how some of it started. Some I approached myself. Mike Finn is a writer, lives in the Columbus area. He is a historian for the Hibernians. Asked him if he'd be interested in writing a column, and he has since day one of the paper. So 11 years he's been writing for us. And he writes a column called Illuminations. It's some part of our Irish history.
I know that, yeah.
And so we met people along the way. Sue
I see
Mangan.
Francis McGarry is writing for
Francis McGarry still writes for us. Francis writes at a level that I don't always understand. He's out there. He's very, very
There's
educated
a lot of those
fellow.
big words.
Yes, a lot of words.
Slow
and
down
he's-
a bit, Francis.
It's funny if you can take the pause to listen to what he's saying. He's a very funny writer,
Yeah.
very funny. But he speaks, he writes the same way he speaks, kind of a clipped, short sentences, and you really have to follow along to understand what he's saying. But he's a very funny guy.
Does a lot of research.
He does a lot, and he's a well-educated guy, and street educated as well as book educated. So he knows a lot about things that people were interested in reading. Doing a lot of research into the 5th and the 7th wards in Cleveland, where the Irish first came, and how the names processed over time to become to the different neighborhoods. Now, he's a fascinating stories he tells.
About Immaculate Conception, he writes a lot about that parish.
That's right.
doesn't
That
he?
was his home parish.
Yeah.
Yes. So Sue Mangan, we met. I can remember we were at the Cleveland Fesh one day, and Sue was an English major, very wonderful, emotive writer. And I said to her, "You need to start writing for us." And just the way her face lit up, I knew I had found a great writer. And she's been writing for us ever since, more than 10 years. And so some of the other, Maury Collins, I think you know in Toledo. Maury
Yeah.
Collins is a Hibernian. He writes a Toledo Irish column. So we came on them slowly, and as they sent us things to consider, said, "Oh, this person's got perspective I want to add to the paper." Sue Mangan writes about being an Italian girl married to an Irish guy and what that's like, and the immersive culture of the Irish here in Cleveland. So she's got good perspective as well, and a different one that we don't always think about.
Mrs. Quinn often says to me, it's a good thing I didn't marry an Italian woman. I'm not big on spaghetti or pizza or any of that stuff. She
Just
says
like my
I'd
dad.
probably starve.
You would.
And of course you have the youth also. You have Tara Quinn writing now.
Tara Quinn is writing for us again. She's got a very unique story, an emotive story, a lot
Oh
of
dear
emotion.
me, I have to read it 3 times to understand it.
Yeah, she's a little different the
A
way
little
she
out there
speaks. Though.
sometimes, Tara.
She is, but that it's her. If you listen to the story, or the journey
yeah.
she's been through, she is an amazing woman. I really think the world of her, and she writes every month with a. I don't think it's intentional, but she teaches as she writes, and I think she's teaching people to, hey, take a step back and look at others, and don't be judgmental. You never know what's out there, or what they're going through.
All right, we're going to break away now, and the owner of the Ohio Irish News. He's been the publisher here in Cleveland for the past 10 years. Is it, John, or 12
We're
years?
in our 12th year.
12 years. I remember, yeah, you celebrated the 10th anniversary a couple of years ago. That's right. But that's not the only thing you do.
No.
This you've just added to your other profession, which is you're the deputy director of the Cleveland Irish Cultural Festival.
That's right.
I want to talk to you about the festivals for a minute. How many festivals would you say that we have within striking distance of Cleveland?
In the state
Irish
of Ohio, we
festivals.
have 8.
8 in Ohio?
Eight in Ohio. Now that number kind of fluctuates a little bit, and it kind of depends on how you define an Irish festival as well. But Cincinnati has started a new one, so they're coming back with a new festival this year, which I'm looking forward to going down to. Cleveland, of course, has 2 with us, and on the east side we have Pat Coyne's festival. Dayton has a Dayton Celtic Fest. Dublin Irish Fest is the 2nd largest Irish festival in the United States.
Is it the second biggest?
It's the 2nd largest,
Dublin.
behind
And
Milwaukee.
I remember when it started.
Yeah, they're 5 years younger than us, so they just had their 30th last year. Great group of people, and the thing I love, they're like Milwaukee in that they love to teach people. So if I call them with a question, how do you do something, why would you do something, that kind of thing, immediately I get a call back, I get advice, I get people who have done it, show me how to do it. They host a convention every year that we go down and learn more about festivals. We have like platform panel discussions and that kind of thing. Milwaukee does the same thing. I can call Ed Ward any day and say, Ed, I've got this problem, how do I deal with it? Sound on advice, he's been there, he's done it.
You know, about 25 years ago. How long is that festival going? Because I remember when they started, I got a call from the person that was in charge of that, thinking of doing it, and they said to me, what do you think of the chances of this thing working in Ohio, in Columbus? I said, I don't know. You know, a lot of people don't even know where Columbus is. I said, maybe Cleveland, but we have one here already. And I said, I'm not so sure it'll work. But again, if you're having it in Dublin, maybe the name Dublin will draw. And it sure did.
Well, you know, they started out, they were on the tennis court. Literally, they were on the festival was on a tennis court.
I remember when
Remember?
the first one. I
In
remember
the first
now.
5 years, and then the city itself got involved and said, hey, you know, this could be our signature event. And that's where it really took off. And they're a massive 40-acre complex that they have the festival on. It's there year-round, so they don't have to do quite as much setup. They use more of the facilities there, and that grows every year. It is a city-run festival, but it's also a city-embraced festival. So the whole city gets behind it. They've all got yard signs on talking about the festival. If you go through the area around the festival, all the city names are Dublin provinces. You know, there's Kilkenny Street and that kind of thing. So the whole city embraces the festival. The whole city comes to the festival. They get their admission tax for the hotels, for the whole city. That funds the festival. So it's a different ballgame when you have a city involved in doing it. or an organization like Milwaukee
Definitely.
has that's a nonprofit organization. The mom and pop festivals like ours, those are fading from the
Well,
scene
John,
pretty
you're
quickly.
you're still drawing about 30, 40,000 people, which I think is a little better than mom and pop. I don't want that
Yeah.
much many in my house.
No, and I wouldn't say that in a negative way. That was the only way it survived. Because when
Yeah.
I started the paper, there were 15 Irish festivals in Ohio. Then it went down to 8. We're starting to see some come back now. So mom and pop, I believe, is the reason that we survived. My dad started the festival in 82. First festival was in 83. I don't think we would have survived if it hadn't been one person really that was a visionary and the driving force behind the festival. And he was, and he is, still is.
I recall when the Ward brothers started that festival.
Yep.
In fact, I brought the Ward brothers to Cleveland many years ago, and there was a fellow named Jerry Thomas who ran an Irish pub called Molly Maguire's. It was over near where Casey's Irish Imports.
Yeah, over in Center Ridge.
Yeah, it was somewhere along there. And I was the one that brought them to town, the Ward brothers. I think their band was called the Blarney Boys.
That's correct.
Was it?
The Barneys, yeah.
Ed Ward, and they were young guys.
Ed and Chuck,
Ed
yeah.
and Chuck Ward. And that's got to be 40 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, and you know,
How long
Ed
is
got
the
sick and it wasn't doing well, and everyone was, you know, we were all praying, and then Chuck Ward passed away very young, you know,
Did he?
about 3 or 4 years ago.
What year
Surprise.
did that festival start?
They're in their 38th, I think, 38th or 39th festival. So they're 4 or 5 years ahead of
I
us.
thought it was longer than that, actually.
I'm not positive. I think they're nearing 40.
I think it was in the 70s sometimes.
Not Milwaukee Irish Festival.
No, I mean, no. When did the Milwaukee one start?
I want to say they're nearing 40 years now. 38 years, 39 years, somewhere around there.
Well, maybe not, because they came to Jerry Thomas when he had Marty McGuire's.
And the band was around a long time before that.
Mhm.
You know, Schooner's Fair and those guys.
That's
They were
right. There was some great stuff,
some
John.
amazing, fantastic music.
But so now you're going to cover all of this in the newspaper. You're going to try and cover it. Will
Yes.
there be more coverage, John, or are you going to keep it pretty much the way it was?
No, I think you'll see vast differences going forward. I think you'll see it grow. I think you'll see us reaching out into further communities. Like as we talked about with the columnists, people send me these things all the time, submissions, and I look at those, and that's why I look for writers, but it's also I look for somebody that can maybe quarterly send me things, or when something's going on, they send me an email with some information. People say, well, how come you don't talk about this city? Like, well, did you send anything? No.
Right.
Well, okay, so send it to me. If I can run it, I will. I want to support what you're doing. And this is an easy way for me to do it, is you send me information, I'll make it pretty. But you have to take the step forward, meet me halfway. So the paper will cover all of Ohio, we'll cover 6 surrounding states, and eventually we're going to move further south. We're going to get Kentucky where we are now, we're going to get into Tennessee, and we're going to move down. We'll probably touch a little bit in Alabama, and then we'll end up in Florida. So I have a retirement plan in place. So
Great,
Florida
John.
to Cleveland.
Right. We're going to be right back. John is going to stay with us for the couple hours. I'll be talking to Eddie in just a minute. JC, I have to have a chat with them. I haven't talked to him in a while. He's doing the movie here, though, so it'll be out on YouTube. Is YouTube or on Facebook is this going out? A few minutes ago about John Garvey and Ann Garvey's son, Bill, who lives here and is really a big operator in the movie business. Marvel and Captain America. He was the location manager for those big movies that we see in Cleveland, and I think he probably knows the Russo brothers. And so I'm going to put John on to Bill Garvey, and they're going to talk, and hopefully we'll see an interview in the newspaper one of these days, John. Huh?
Yeah, we'd love to. And it's great to get those stories from people because you don't always know some of the past history. So somebody tells you, hey, this is a great story, you should talk to this person. I learn a lot. And then we show all of our audience as well, hey, you got some great history here in Cleveland.
It's a funny thing that this circle that has taken place in my life. When I came to New York, originally, John Garvey, Bill's dad, met me at the boat in New York City. And he took me all around New York, took me to City Center Ballroom in New York, where Patty Noonan was playing at the time, and Carmel Quinn. It was owned by Bill Fuller, who was Carmel's husband, and he was a big-time operator of dance halls. He ended up out in Nevada owning gold mines eventually, and I think he died when he was about 96.
Wow.
But John took me all around New York City to all the famous places. I remember the Red Mill was a place in the Bronx where all the Irish, 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. And I'm thinking, this New York has got to be a great spot to live. So I was thinking of living there. I said to John, maybe I'll stay here. But my aunt got on the phone to me and she says, look, I signed your papers to bring you out to America, you better get your butt out here to Cleveland where you belong. So I had to leave New York and head to Cleveland. And it's a funny thing then, John Garvey, our John's son, who went to Notre Dame, when he was in Notre Dame, John and Ann would be driving to Notre Dame from New York, so they'd stop overnight at our house here in Cleveland and then drive on and see their son Bill. Then Bill graduated from Notre Dame, got into the movie business. He was working on The Sopranos in New York City, and he met a girl from Parma, and they got married. And where do you think he moved to? Cleveland, Ohio. So they live right now, they live in Rocky River. So, and of course, John and Ann come out to visit them quite frequently, and we see them a lot. And it's just wonderful the way it has turned out.
I have to say, though, thanks very much to your aunt for laying down the rules. We're pretty glad to have you in Cleveland.
Oh, thank you,
for 40
John.
years.
Thank you. 16 minutes past the hour of 11 o'clock here on the Irish. For a minute about the plans for the newspaper. I know you said you were going to expand it.
Yes.
Of course, you need, in order to do this, we have to have advertising, just like our station here. The same thing with ourselves. We all need advertising to keep going. So it is an important part of your newspaper.
It is, and it
Still
doesn't exist
life's
without it. Yes, and true. The paper doesn't exist without it. We have subscriptions, of course, but most people that have subscriptions are maybe people that can't get out and about a lot. So it's available in 275 locations right now in Ohio and 5 surrounding states. Our goal is to continue to drive that as appropriate, but our goal really is to become a regional newspaper. There are a lot of Irish papers around the U.S. We are the only one that's a statewide. We're not just a city paper. Certainly Cleveland has 68% of our distribution, so there's a lot of Cleveland Irish. But as you go further and around the state, our goal will be to continue to rise, to go south. We're in Kentucky now, we'll be in Tennessee, and we'll continue to move south, maybe touch on Georgia, certainly Alabama, where I've spent some time working, and we will end in Florida. So we'll go from Florida to Cleveland at some point in our future. That's our plan, that's our business plan, and I think that that's going to happen. I have great faith in it. But it's the Clevelanders who take the ads out every month that are really the heart and soul of the paper. They are the heart of our issue. They continue. We have 2 kinds of advertisers, whether it be someone who is appealing to the public to come into their business or to buy from them, and then we have what we call grandfathers, who are sponsors of the paper. And there are people who maybe wouldn't get somebody walking in off the street to buy a product. They don't have a product, maybe have the service, but then they do the paper because they take big ads because they want to support the paper. In our vision and what we're trying to do to preserve, present, and promote the Irish culture. It's a rich culture. I think I grew up with it, so maybe I know more. People who are maybe 2nd or 3rd generation, maybe not aware of some of the history. And we point that out in the paper and say, hey, this person has had an impact. This Mr. Garvey has done so much for our community. Look at all the movies that have been filmed in Cleveland in the last few years. You think that he hasn't had a big part of that? I think
sure
he has. He sure has. And we're fortunate to have somebody like that here. So our goal is to do the Irish community diaspora across the U.S. to talk about that. But we're really starting here, which is where I was born. I worked in other cities. I had a chance to do things in other places, and I chose Cleveland after I grew up and started working in other places. Cleveland is a fantastic place to live. It's a fantastic place to do business, a fantastic place to play. And we're going to take all that knowledge and all that past history and keep it alive today. You mentioned some of those names that I know, others may not. And some of them may have gone on to hopefully a better reward, but their name lives on. And they've left a legacy of contribution in starting the Eastside Irish American Club, or starting the Ohio Irish American News, or my dad starting the Cleveland Irish Cultural Festival. There's a lot of great names out there who should be remembered with joy for the good things that they've done. It's easy to do a National Enquirer story. You can put some gossip in there anytime, and people send me that stuff all the time. I never run it. We're a celebratory paper.
I'm glad you didn't do that. I'd be in it all the time.
You've been in a lot, Jerry. There's a lot
I
of
know.
pictures I've
And
heard
Eddie
about.
and Biff Chase and Colleen too.
Oh, we'll leave her out of it. Not Colleen.
Golden
I have
name over
oh,
her.
the halo.
Yes, the halo.
Have you no decency?
That's the end of my
John,
story.
I think probably the most important thing you said there is the preservation of the Irish heritage. That newspaper, I think, is the key to our other newspaper. But if it's this one that covers all these states, I think that is critical, because our nationality, the Irish nationality, we do not have the people coming over from Ireland anymore like we used to have. I came on the last wave in the early 60s. I know all those people that come on. Since that, I do not know that many that came.
No, we always say that I am the last first generation.
There you go.
That's not in New York or Chicago. They're still getting a lot. And it's a shame because Cleveland is such a vibrant economy now. Cleveland is booming. So if someone in Ireland were looking for a good place to raise a family, to grow, to get a good job, to live that American dream, the American dream is not dead. The newspaper is proof of that. I'm living the American dream because of the sacrifices my parents make today even, and have made in the past. The American dream is alive and well in Cleveland, and we'd love to see the Irish come here again. But the ones that are here, they've got to know where they came from. If you want to understand, you want to find your roots, you want to know where you came from, to understand your psyche, look at your roots. That's where you came from, and that's what makes you why. That's why there's so many of us are musicians over generations, and writers and scholars, and people who, you look at the 5 people in this room right now, and how much they give to the community, not by money. Monetary is certainly a part of it, and that's what pays for everything, but what they give in effort. And I'd much rather have your time and your effort supporting the paper than your ad. If you want to advertise, we'd love to have you. If you want to be a grandfather, we'd love to have you. If you want to be a mom or pop that wants people, Irish or not, to come into your store, your business, to hire you as a lawyer, hire you as an insurance agent, whatever it might be, the heart and soul of the paper, the Irish community, is our advertisers and our supporters, whether it be in action, in word, in deed, is the most important of all of them.
Great. Now this, John is the recent owner of the Ohio Irish News, expanded the newspaper, and of course the deputy director of the Cleveland Irish Cultural Festival. 2 great institutions now. The festival has been running, I believe, John, for 35 years.
Correct.
Is it number 36
This is
coming
number
up?
36.
36 is coming up. And the paper has been in business for 12 years. And I think we should mention Chris, what's the Carl's, your former partner,
Cliff Carlson.
Cliff
yes.
Carlson, who I know you two worked together to get the paper going.
We
in the
did.
Cleveland-
We did. Cliff was the founder, along with I, on the Ohio Irish American News. And Cliff has run Chicago's Irish American News for more than 25 years. He'll continue to do that. I was very, very fortunate to meet Cliff when I did, timing and everything, and asked if I wanted to start an Ohio paper. I did. We met in October of 2006, and we launched in January of 2007. It was that quick of a turnaround, and it's been successful because of Cliff. And Cliff continues to be a mentor to me and show me the ways and ideas and give me different things to do or to try. So I was in Chicago for about a week, at the end of the year over Thanksgiving and into December, buying the paper from Cliff, something we'd always agreed upon. While I was there, I met up with Katie Brennan, who some of you may know as a dance teacher, fiddle teacher as well, but she's also the fiddler for Gaelic Storm. And Katie and Gaelic Storm are coming back to the festival again this year. Looking forward to having them July 20 to 22. So Katie sends that CD to you, Jerry, with regards.
Yeah, we're going to play that next. We're going
She,
to play the Coolin from, which is a marvelous piece of it's like Irish classical music. If you were thinking of turning our radio program off because you're bored listening to me, stay with us now because you want to hear this. You want to hear her play the Coolin. But John, who else do you have coming to the festival this year?
I think it's going to be a great year. So our 36, we've got Gaelic Storm, we've got Eileen Ivers. Back are the Fitzgeralds, who just blew the festival away last year with their rendition of a dance for them, doing a tap dance routine type Irish dance mix. 3.1 million views on YouTube that the Cherished Ladies took for Morella. Murray took the video, put it on YouTube. 3.1 million views already. We've got Derek Warfield and the Young Wolf Tones coming back. Tally Moore, new group to us for the first time, I think you will love. The Druids are coming from Ireland. They're guys who are similar to like the High Kings, that kind of a upbeat, fantastic beat. Cassie and Maggie McDonald are coming back. They won the 2017 New Band of the Year. They're coming back this year. We're looking forward to having them. We've got the classic Dermot Henry and Dennis Doyle. Dave Curley Band, who a lot of you might know from Slide. He has started his own band.
Great group.
Fantastic.
I want their CD Slide, yeah.
And by request, by popular demand, Scythian is coming back. I think people will love that. Them, along with Gaelic Storm and Mary's Lane and Bridges Cross, Barleycorn, One Shot Patty, the Kilroys. I think you're going to find a fun lineup. The dance schools, the pipe bands, and we've got a few surprises coming along as well. Some new things coming in this year that I think you will really love. It's going to be a great year. So it's clevelandirish.org. Don't go to the website yet because we're in the middle of updating it, literally. But soon it'll be up. But that's who's coming. And if you want to contact me about the festival, about the paper, about anything, please feel free. I always take a phone call. I answer my phone. We don't have a staff. We have us. And you can call me at any time or email me. The easiest one to remember is john@clevelandirish.org. or for the paper J. O'Brien at IANOhio, Irish American News Ohio, J. O'Brien at IANOhio.com. I'd be glad to listen to your stories since you've been so patient listening to mine.
John, and they can pick up the paper at just about any Irish pub or restaurant, and lots of other places too that are not even Irish. You can pick up that newspaper.
That's right. That's right. Seed Magazine delivers a paper for us in Cleveland, and that's a huge boon to us because they got us in places that when we started out we wouldn't have been able to get into. So 275 locations. If you go onto the paper's website, IANOhio.com, the complete list is there. So any restaurant, pubs, bookstores, barbershops, nursing homes, we want to get the paper out to as many people as we can, and you can pick it up there or give us a shout and we'll send one out to you.
In the year about 1700, this piece of music was composed by the blind harpist Turla. For coming in this morning and talking to us.
Thanks so much for having me, Jerry.
Great to have you. Thank you, JC. Great to have you with us, Eddie and Colleen.
My
also.
pleasure.